Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special Thursday edition of the POAP Community Call. It's number 31. So glad that you are here despite us having to move this one day. I am your host, Mr. Mojo from the Poep Report, and we have a bunch of people up here who I love to consider my friends. We have Superphiz from the East Acre community. Great to have you up as always.
Hello, thank you.
We also have JENetics, who is lead over at Ultrasound Merch and Poapathon. Great to have you as always.
Hello, hello.
We also have Nixorokish, who is a member of East Acre and is the onboarding lead at POAP. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. We even have Logic Beach from Grid Plus and a whole bunch of other initiatives in the Web3 space. Great to have you on.
Good to be here.
And back up is Amanda from the Curation team, lead of the Curation team. Great to have you as well.
Thanks for having me here, Mr. Mojo.
And we also have POAP Growth Manager iDecentralized. Good to have you as well.
What is up, my family?
And from my understanding, we may also have some more guests from Grid Plus, but as for now, they are not up here. Again, good to have everyone here on this special Thursday edition of the show. We had to move it because of the Go Early merge yesterday, which we were going to be talking about here in a moment. But before then, Logic Beach, do you want to describe how people can claim the POAP from today's call?
Yes. So today we are. Oh, sorry, I lost my complete train of thought. I set this up earlier, and I believe today is the first day we're going to try this with the Guild XYZ bot. You can donate $1 worth of ETH on mainnet or $1 worth of Matic on Polygon. This is the first day that we're trying multi-network contribution for POAP. So yeah, there'll be an embed that will enter the chat on the guild or join guild channel in this Discord server, and you will just go in there and hit claim POAP, send the transaction, and then you will unlock your link. We'll get around to that around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the end of this call.
And for some people who were sort of upset at the fact that we were on Guild, it's being developed constantly. Every single week, they've been able to push something new out for us. So don't worry, it's experimental tech, and everything is going to work out in the end. With DGenBot getting a bit less support than we would like, it was time to move on, and we decided to move on to Guild. And so far, it's been pretty good. But we're going to move on for now. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I wanted to start off this community call with, I guess, the reason why that we're here on doing this today instead of yesterday. So, the Go Early testnet had a successful merge, and Superphiz and Nixorokish and Logic Beach, you were in the call for that with Bankless and a bunch of the staking client developers and Ethereum Foundation researchers and things like that. I'm just going to go ahead and let y'all take it away. Interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I also believe Logic Beach was there chilling around. Did you
Yes,
make it, Anthony?
he was definitely on there.
Were you there?
I was there. Yeah, I didn't say much, but it was kind of fun. Like, I was a little starstruck seeing all those core devs and other big names in the ETH space. So I was like, I don't really want to say anything.
You weren't starstruck to see me?
I was. I'm always starstruck to be in the same room as you. Like, that's why I'm always fumbling and stuttering, because I'm like, oh my god, Superphiz.
It was a fun call.
Rocket Pool was there in a big way. I thought that was funny that we all just sort of happened to be wearing the same shirt. Like, 4 of us had the exact same shirt on. And that shirt we all got like a year and a half ago.
It's funny, and I'm like, for mainnet, should we do that? I don't know. Anyway,
Yes.
We should start at the beginning. So,
I think we should all have matching shirts for the mainnet call.
that's not a bad idea. So, as many of you know, the Ethereum network is moving to a proof of stake model. We're moving away from a proof of work model. Instead of being secured by people mining using GPUs, we're going to be secured by a proof of stake model, which is 99.98% more power efficient. Which means we're not going to be burning a ton of electricity, and we're not going to be hogging all of the silicon used to make GPUs. So I'm really excited about this transition. It also sets Ethereum up for scaling to be allowed to handle far more transactions in the future. So this new proof of stake network is likely to last 50 years ish. So that's absolutely awesome. And so we've had several tests for this. We had the Ropsten test, the Sepolia test, and yesterday we had the Gurley test. And some of you, I hope a lot of people in the audience have been collecting these POAPs because last night was the third of 4 merged POAPs, and there's a rumor. I may have started the rumor. I don't know, but we're thinking about. Do we have a name for what we're going to call this? The merged POAP, like the fancy one.
The merged POAP.
Yes, it's
The
the
merged
merged
POAP.
POAP. Yes.
That's a great
I
idea.
think
Yeah.
it's
So
going to be the merged groupie POAP.
yeah.
I
So
like
we
that
have
too.
this idea that anyone who has all 4 of the testnet, well, 3 testnet and 1 mainnet merged POAPs in their wallet. So we will scan for those and create a list of people who have all 4 of them and give them a merged POAP that I think will be pretty cool. Like, not that it's Sybil resistant, but just that anyone who has it will have worked pretty hard to get it. So I find that really exciting.
So
The mainnet call is going to be a lot of
Oh,
fun. I think it's going to be.
go ahead.
I think it's going to be quite chaotic. The one piece of feedback that we got on Twitter yesterday is like the merge call. We see the pandas come up on the command line, and it shows us when it's activated, but we don't actually see when it's like successful and finalized. And so I guess people on Twitter wanted us to hang out a little longer to like really confirm success. So we're thinking about hanging out for a little longer, but the important people are not going to be able to hang out longer on the call because they are going to be doing like troubleshooting and watching very carefully.
Are
You
you
know,
able to give?
I was driving during our team meeting today, but really what I wanted to say was I'm okay with it being like a 2-hour call and with a lot of the front end stuff being why we're doing this, the history, like the people who made it possible, like really framing the context because it's going to be widely shown and we really want to set the stage rather than just sort of jumping in and saying here are pandas, we finalized, all done. So I think we'll get there.
I want to mention it out loud that there will be a POAP to Art canvas that people with these testnet merge calls will be able to get together and make some fun collaborative art pieces. And yeah, this is going to be a big one. I don't know exactly the size yet, but I guess maybe I get to decide that.
Is this going to be during the mainnet merge call?
I think so, but I don't know.
I think that's a great idea.
It will start. We will probably actually even have a pre-call like we have done in the past, where maybe we'll start actually 3 hours before the merge with a pre-call with a POAP party, painting party, just kind of getting people to come and relax and chill with us before we go live on YouTube.
I am
And
super down to make it an all-day event.
yeah,
Let's keep the
Especially
canvas open a long time. Usually it's about an hour or so, but I think we should push it. Like, let's do like 3 or 4 hours.
How many
I-
people are going to be in Berlin? Because we could do
Yes.
like an IRL party too.
I won't be there.
we will be. Logic Beach suggested that we'll use the previous merge POAPs. We're also going to use historical ETHStaker POAPs. So if you have like 2-year-old POAPs from the Topaz or gosh, I've forgotten the name of those testnets. But if you have any of the ETHStaker POAPs, you'll also be able to not only draw on POAP.art, but it will reduce your delay so you can draw more quickly. Another thing about that,
I actually have a question that I want to ask really quick. Unless it's going to be a little too far off topic about what you're going to say. So, one of the things that I want to ask is, whenever you are actually in those calls, what are the things that you're looking for to show that it was successful or not? Or in the moment, what are you thinking about whenever it's leading up to it?
Miles
Can I
on
try?
deck places.
I kind of want to try to answer this if
Yeah,
nobody
go
else.
for it. Do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So what we really want to see I mean, I'm not a developer, but what developers want to see, what Ethereans want to see, is that blocks are being proposed and the state is being finalized. That was something that it was a bit bumpy at first, but the Goerli testnet ended up finalizing, I think, after the call ended. And that's what Superphiz was referring to, that some people wanted to see that happen. And we had cut the call before that was well known. So yeah, we want to see finalization. We want to see a lot of green blocks, not a lot of missed blocks or orphaned blocks.
And that's what's funny. Like, I know looking back, it's easy to know, yes, it was successful. But when you're in the heat of the call and you're seeing 50% participation and you're like, oh crap, the thing that goes through my mind anyway, as the host, is like, how long do we watch this? Because every minute you watch it and it's not working, people kind of get these ideas in their head like, oh, it's failed or it's not working. But having done this a lot, I know that a rough start doesn't mean it's not successful. It means we don't have enough data, the network hasn't settled down yet, and it might settle down in somewhere between 3 minutes and 3 days. And so, what I don't want to do, like, I don't want to be staring at it with the live call for like 5 hours, because that just ends up being demoralizing. So, I'd much rather, get 30 minutes past the pandas into a place where we could have finalized, and if we didn't, then just say, hey, thanks, and let's look at it tomorrow and see how it worked out. And that's kind of what we did.
That being said, the mainnet will have a lot more participation. Like people maybe have nodes that aren't updated on the testnet because they're not as invested because the testnet holds no value to them, or holds no value. So
Yeah.
I expect that
Mainnet-
the mainnet merge might finalize really quickly just because there's tons of participation, right?
Yeah, the issues we're likely to see with mainnet are more likely related to miners who play with hash power than they are related to the actual merge. And what miners can't do is break TTD. So even if that's total terminal difficulty. So even if miners stop, it may slow our progression, but it's still coming. So it's um, the worst thing I can imagine is that we get on the call and it's delayed, an hour, but then we merge, and I really think that we'll get finalization pretty quickly.
I'm curious, when we gave out the POAP last night, I did a shout out that said if anybody doesn't understand why or disagrees with the idea that POAP should that we should charge for POAPs, especially for the merge calls. I told them they could come to these merge calls. So if anybody is here based on that, like, feel free to throw in the chat what your disagreement is. We can keep going. We don't need to wait for that.
We've been chatting about it since the beginning of this call. Actually, we've just all been just ignoring merge talk.
Oh, there is. Yeah. Okay. I haven't been paying enough attention to the actual chat.
I know. I've been trying to
Nix
do
is
some
like,
behind the
bring it
scenes
up in this
things.
chat if you want to talk about it, and it's already there.
Yes, I'm trying to
I
do
am
some behind the
behind.
scenes stuff a little bit. Can we get me apologize for this, but can you get me back on track so I know exactly what we're talking about?
Yeah, so last night, or yesterday, it was last night during the merge call,
Mhm.
so we're using a distribution technique that is, isn't that the same thing we're doing? Like, Nix, are you talking about people not happy with distributing to
Yes.
by paying a donation? Similar to how we're doing it here, we're using a system that is just like what we're doing here, what you might call pay for issuance, where as a spam resistance measure, we asked people last night to donate to Coin Center, and we know that some people are not quite on board with that model. Like, they want POAPs and they want them for free. And so I really think as a community, especially as like the POAP community leaders, we have an obligation to hear out those issues and really kind of be representatives of the community of like, is that the right way, or are we really doing something wrong?
Especially because we're
Yeah.
not necessarily the smartest people in the room. Like they're paying for POAPs is not the ideal solution. It is just the best solution that we have at this moment. In the absence of a good Sybil resistance mechanism for POAPs, we are using a spam resistance mechanism that is not perfect. And so if anybody has like better ideas, we would love to hear them.
Yeah.
And
So
I'll be honest, I don't think we're going
Superphiz.
back. I don't think we're going back to free POAPs. I think that the future is going to be for these big online events. If you were there, everyone is glad to have you. But if you want proof that you were there, then you'll be assumed to make some kind of contribution. And I really think that's fair. Like, we're not preventing anyone from attending. We're just saying if you want a certificate of attendance, you need to reward
Which-
the people who put it on.
Yeah, and like $1 is trivial. But in order to like increase Sybil resistance, we do need better ideas.
Right. So one of the things that I've been looking into is this platform called Rev, which allows you to distribute POAPs based on viewership on a live stream, whether it be on YouTube or Twitch, and it's even able to be on things like YouTube premieres, which interested me. But by the time that the mainnet merge happens, there's definitely going to be a working version of that available. I'm going to be demoed that one-on-one in 2 weeks or so. So I'll be able to give information on that. But as for right now, as a person who has experienced helping out with the ETHStaker donations for the POAPs, making sure that everybody who contributed getting their POAP is probably the number one thing, because I'm the first to raise my hand and say I don't necessarily like this because there's too many points of failure that can happen. People can send the wrong token, they can send it on the wrong network, they can send it to the wrong address. There's people who try to send it later and say, "Oh, I was totally in the window," but they're not, and now they sent the dollar, which, I mean, we're going to gladly take the donation because in ETHStaker's case, it's being given to public good, so it's not like they're just taking the money and lining their pockets with it. But at the same time, it's like, well, how strict are these criteria that we're going to have? And when you do it manually, there's too many things that can go wrong. So I totally agree, having solid infrastructure that allows for you to just go in there, you send your transaction with a click of a button, and then you know for sure that you're going to get your POAP later is something that is definitely going to be wanted or needed. And we're seeing that being developed right now. As I was saying, rev.gg is coming up, and we switched over to guild.xyz here on the community call to help with things like that too.
You bring up this interesting point about record keeping, and I think that is one of the extreme strengths of blockchain technology, and that is we can have people from all over the world who can make a documented, credible deposit, and if they follow the directions and did it correctly, then no one can say you didn't do that. Like, they have a real document. Now, when people do it wrong, I have to say, like, I don't, as a facilitator, I don't have a lot of time for people who, because there literally are 50 people complaining every time that they didn't get the POAP. I don't have
More than
time for that. And
More than that.
it's not personal to them. It's just that we can we don't have the opportunity to stop and spend a week cleaning up after every POAP distribution. But the benefit of it is if you did it right, then any of us can sweep that in 5 minutes and have a perfect list that tells exactly who gets the POAP, and we don't have to worry about having left someone off because we have an immutable ledger that tells exactly where those POAPs go. So I find that to be really helpful.
Yeah, and that is one of the great perks of blockchain technology. Exactly as you said, you can look at a transaction and see for sure if they followed every single criteria. There's definitely, whenever I was helping with that, there would be people, they would send it to me. It would be the correct amount during the right time on the correct chain, but they sent it to the wrong address. Like they would send it to themselves, or they would just send it to somewhere totally different. And they'd be like, all right, where's my POAP? And I'm like, well, you didn't send it to the right address. Sorry. Or there's people that they would send like nothing. They would send basically a blank transaction and be like, well, look, here you go. There it is. I'm like, well, you didn't send in the dollar or whatever. Or maybe they didn't send in the correct currency, or they just used the wrong chain altogether. So they sent the dollar, but it's on the wrong chain. So you're like, well, do we give it to them or not? All right. So yeah, having that actual solid infrastructure somebody can go to is always
the honest
what I think
answer
is the gold standard.
the honest answer is no. We do not give it to them, and that's not to be mean or to hurt anyone's feelings. It is to respect the people who did follow the directions. And like if I am a person who continually makes a mistake, like I always send my donation to the USDC wallet, or I'm sorry, the USDC contract, and I do that over and over, and I don't get my POAP. At some point, I'm going to realize that I'm not doing it right, and I'm wasting my money, and get on board. But if we continue to spend a lot of our hours, being nice and friendly and kind of taking care of everyone, which is honestly my nature, then um, we're really encouraging people to be sloppy about it rather than holding that high standard of rewarding the people who did the right thing. Like it's a POAP. It's not like we're taking anything away. It is like literally a badge that says you did the right thing at the right time. So
Yeah.
those are the people who should get it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people in this community who, how can I put it, who they do show up to these events, and you give out a POAP and nothing will get in their way of trying to get it right. Like if there's anything that is preventing them, or any barrier that is preventing them from getting this POAP, then they throw a temper tantrum, and it's I'm not trying to say that there's anybody like in this call who's doing that, or any listener, not pointing out anyone in particular. It's just there are people who they will send you these private messages. Oh, shame on your family for not giving me this POAP. Or, oh, I'm expecting great things out of you. Give me my POAP now. Or, oh man, I was at event, give me POAP, and you ask for proof. And they just give me the POAP. Just give it to me.
Yeah,
Basically.
as an organizer, I've really moved to a place where it takes me about a half a second to block those people now, because they're trying to take advantage of the system, and I'm sorry if they didn't follow the directions completely, but that's not something that, again, as an organizer, I have 24 hours in a day, and I spend 18 of that doing that stuff. If we let our guard down and kowtow to all of the people who are angry about it, then we've really sacrificed our good work. And so I don't have time for people who are going to either be unkind or demand things when I'm working on other things.
Right. All right. Well, I am looking to move forward a little bit from this topic. Let's kind of move away from this. It's not really what we're focusing on right now. Is there anything else that we want to talk about from the merge? In fact, I actually have it here in our notes. So on Poapathon, Superphiz, you actually posted a bounty. I'm going to go ahead and link your tweet. There's actually a 2-for-1 opportunity if you use Rye. Do you want to describe that real quick for us?
Yeah, Rye is a new type of stablecoin. It is it is what you might consider to be the highest standard of decentralized stablecoin. They have minimal governance. They only take ETH as collateral, and when you deposit ETH, you can lend or borrow Rye, and that Rye is. And this really stems out of many people who know that USDC was, or holders of USDC, not USDC, holders of USDC who participated with Tornado Cash were sanctioned by the US government. And while I respect the government's need to do those things, I also know that we're building a decentralized system here. and I would much prefer decentralized tools. And so I really want to incentivize people to begin transacting with truly censorship resistant tools. And so for anybody who made that deposit yesterday to Coin Center using Rye, I'm going to give them a special POAP. And so it's just my way of encouraging people to continue to decentralize the network.
Excellent. And I know that JENetics was
It's
excited to see that go in there.
Also, you say
yeah.
yesterday, but technically that window to donate is still open. Just saying.
I can't be accountable for details. Come on.
As you were going to say, Jen?
Oh, well, so when you set up a company that accepts crypto, one of the things that you're supposed to do is build into the system this list of addresses that have been blocked because they are confirmed to be money laundering individuals or entities. And the list changes. And so you have to have somebody that regularly, anytime an email comes in with an update to that list goes in, or, however we get the list, goes in and edits those numbers. And I guess instead of having that in place, they just didn't, or are they like, no? I mean, how did they was Tornado Cash implementing something like that, and then the government was just like, you know what, we believe that everyone who uses this entity are dirty scumbags, or are they, was Tornado Cash doing everything wrong to begin with? I guess that's my question.
To begin with, it's not a company even any more than Ethereum is a company. And
Yeah.
so when you place expectations upon software and say, for example, placing expectations on Ethereum and saying, you have a network and these are the people we want you to block. You can't do that on a decentralized network. And so Tornado Cash doesn't hold the power itself to blacklist addresses because it's a decentralized piece of software operating on top of the network. And so USDC being a centralized tool built on top of a decentralized network is a pinch point that governments can use. And so I have to be honest, like I'm all about government regulation. I believe government regulation is healthy, but I also believe in decentralized tools. And what I don't want to see are people relying on centralized entities and then being upset when they are sanctioned for, there are a lot of good, well-meaning people who were caught up in this because they participated with USD on Circle or have used Tornado Cash. And I've honestly used Tornado Cash a ton just because I like my privacy. Like I don't really advertise my business on the network, and Tornado Cash is a tool that I use to maintain that privacy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
So
mean, one of the things I heard was that even if you'd received money from someone who sent it through Tornado Cash, you could be affected. And that's a little scary because now it's like, well, should I go through everyone who's ever sent me anything and ask, hey, did you use Tornado Cash? Am I about to have my wallet,
yeah, and I
ruined?
don't know how much do you know about the response to this, that people are deploying notes from Tornado Cash to famous people.
Yes, I was going to
Jimmy
say that
Fallon
next.
is the most known person. Like, does that make Jimmy Fallon sanctionable? Like, is he now a criminal because something he had no control over was deposited to his wallet? And is it ethical to hold him accountable for that? Obviously, it's not. But
Absolutely. I mean, when we think about it in, dirty, nasty fiat, if you work at a restaurant and somebody brings in $100 bill, you use your little pen to make sure it tests as real money, and as long as it does, you just assume it's real money. But if it later comes back that no, that was a fake, 100, the employees aren't held responsible because there are poopy people out there.
I feel like at some time we're all poopy people.
Well, true. I mean,
All right.
we're all human,
Yes.
And we're all, you know.
All right, I do
Really?
want to go ahead and move on a little bit, though, since we're halfway through the show and we do have a lot more to talk about. Any final words about the Go Early Merge testnet from yesterday before we move on?
The only thing I would encourage people to watch bordel.wtf. If you haven't been to bordel.wtf, you might know that bordel has another meaning. This has nothing at all in relation to that. But it is a site to track our progress toward the mainnet merge. It'll be around September 15th. And I hope everyone clears their calendar for that week because it will be awesome.
Indeed. All right, thank you for talking about the big event from yesterday. Why we even had to do this today. So really glad to see that that went successful and that it's finally time for mainnet to be merging as well. But okay. How about Logic Beach? You wanted to talk about some Grid Plus stuff. I'm going to go ahead and let you take off with that.
Sure, yeah. So something that I don't think has been done before, the company that I work with is called Grid Plus, as you know, you see it in my name there. We are doing something with POAP where if you own a Lattice, which is the hardware wallet that we sell, so one of the features of this Lattice is that you can verify its authenticity, and that uses something called a physical unclonable function, which is some pretty cool like physics-based way to derive entropy from like something physical, right? It's something also that credit cards do, right? You can't copy that function. You can't copy that entropy. So it uses the entropy from a little chip, and it uses a certificate that can only come from Grid Plus and signed by us. Okay, that's the weird technical background that you could probably just ignore now. And so using that technology, you can sign a message with your Lattice that if you sign the secret message, which we'll let you guys know whenever this is live, you will get forwarded to a page that's like, oh yes, you have a verified Lattice. Oh yeah, and you entered the right code. Here is your verified Lattice owner POAP. So yeah, we're using a hardware signed method to earn a POAP. That's the first time I've ever heard of that happening, and I think I'm proud to say that I sort of pushed for this at my company, and it's happening. I want to give the timeline of maybe a week to a month. It's going to happen probably before the merge.
Are there any lattices that you have to have? Are there specific ones that you can own that would not allow you to get the POAP?
No, all lattices that have ever been made have this the ability to sign this specific message to verify authenticity. So any lattice that has ever been purchased can do this.
Great. Yes, I've seen in the past with other hardware wallets that in order to get a POAP from them, you had to own a specific one. However, Grid Plus is allowing the ownership of any of their hardware wallets for this to work.
That's right. And so yeah, I think I remember when Ledger did something similar. It's like if you buy a Ledger, you get like a POAP. I assume it was like a piece of paper or a QR code. This works really well for us because when we first started thinking that how can we offer a POAP for anybody who waited a long time or owns a Lattice and they were gonna buy one as soon as we got this like big restock that's right around the corner. And actually our store's up and now with a small restock, and I'm not trying to sell you guys lattices. I guess I am. But to earn the POAP, right? That's why we're here. I totally lost my train of thought. I had something else to say. Oh, we were going to do it via email, but we were like, how can we also let people that already own a lattice do this? And one of our devs, big brain, walked in and said, hey, what if we just use this fancy technology that I just mentioned to do that? So yeah, someone questioning the link. Is that not right? No, that's right. It pulled up an embed, so it has to be right.
No, I actually really, really like this because you see from time to time that POAPs are used for sort of engagement. And while I don't doubt that some sort of POAP offering would help with engagement or like sales, knowing that Grid Plus, they're giving back to their customers with saying, hey, like you have purchased from us in the past, in the past, you can get this POAP as well. It's something really good to see.
Right, and Justin, the CEO of the company, he mentioned wanting to do a lot of fun stuff and to like reward people that own lattices, and having this POAP is a pretty good metric actually to be able to do that. Like we know that we've sold a certain number of lattices, but you can't just reach out to those people. We delete all customer data from our servers after the order is complete, unlike some other companies leak lists of people's addresses and names. The POAP gives us a way to be like, okay, now who owns lattices? How can we reward them? We're going to do raffles and other fun stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see this happening. And I claimed the first POAP from a signed verified lattice today. I didn't tell anyone I was going to do that, but one of our devs said, hey, can I test it? He's like, yeah, I spun up the website locally, like the updated version that can do this. And once I got the link, I was like, yeah, why shouldn't I? So yeah, I'm the first. Actually, it said I'm the 0th claimant of this POAP.
I'd like to point out a thing that you said a couple times, and I think it's really important, that POAPs can be used to reward people. And there's so much in there, because I think some people have grown to believe, maybe some issuers have grown to believe, that the POAP is the reward. And in some cases it is, like it's a proof of attendance, that's great. But I really do believe that issuers ought to add value to their POAPs by rewarding the people that hold them, not just saying, here, I gave you a POAP, my job is done. That's like that's like giving, I don't know, a piece of paper that says good job. Like, if you really want to reward your user base, give them a POAP, but then give that POAP value, instead of just sort of cutting out and saying, well, I did a POAP, that's rewarding my users, because it's not. It is a step to make it easier to reward users. It's not the reward itself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yep. I've imagined POAPs like that too. Anytime that, I can say every time that I've done it, but I love to do raffles afterward. And I thought maybe we were going to talk about raffles in this call. Is that still accurate? I don't know. But anyways, yeah.
Please do.
Okay. I don't remember exactly what we had talked about in the planning call, but I know that POAP.fun is like a way, like if any of our listeners aren't aware of this already, POAP.fun is it's a what do you call this? A subdirectory of POAP where you can like just create a raffle from the POAPs that you entered in. Like anyone that was at this event and got this POAP, you can now create a raffle for any reason that you see fit. Go ahead.
Last year, it was super popular for a little while, and then it kind of just died off. I think there was a bit of spam happening on it, and now if you go to that site, it's mostly just like people testing things, and so they're not real raffles. But that was a super useful tool, and it was a lot of fun, and it like gamified POAPs in a way that felt good.
And the community events that like were hosted at the same time as raffles were always really fun to like watch which addresses got culled from the list and like see yours keep surviving. It was awesome. It was very novel. And maybe the POAP.fun isn't curated the same way POAPs are. Maybe that's the reason that we see it in its current state. Maybe Amanda, if you're listening, I wonder what you guys and the rest of the curation team, do you guys talk about? Do you deal with POAP.fun at all? Maybe she has. Oh no, you're here.
I'm here. I was listening, giving the full listen to your question.
Sure.
I don't know, as a team, we don't really I think deal with POAP.fun as much because we're really taking the petitions in. So we're the stop before you get to go have fun with your POAP. So I think I can't speak for all of Curation, but I'm sure some of us like play over there. I know actually Frankie from Curation sent me a raffle type tech the last week that uses POAP. So to answer your question, no, we don't dig as deeply into like curating the tools and the things that are built on top of the protocol, because it's so much fun to sit back and watch everyone build.
The raffle site that you got sent was a different one from POAP.fun?
Yes, it was.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
I'd like to see this as well. Maybe post it in the chat if you can.
Yeah.
That
I
being
might
said-
not do that just because I'm not sure where it came, what it is. So I'll send it to you, and then Nixorokish, you're a little bit more tech than me. Maybe you and Logic Beach can decide if it's community
Okay, cool.
appropriate. Thank you.
I did have one more thing to add about the POAP.fun, and I think maybe it doesn't really need to be curated because, I mean, anyone can create a raffle for any reason and then share it just with their community with a specific, like, POAP.fun/number, and then that's your raffle. So no one really goes and browses raffles, do they? I mean,
Oh, I did. When it was popular, I would go there and it'd be like, try to find anything that I was,
oh, that reminds me. Superphiz, it's called, what's that service that will find airdrops for you?
Earnify.
Earnify.
EARNI.fi, yeah.
I haven't logged in. I haven't checked that in a while, but Earnify will tell you if there's a raffle that includes any of your POAPs.
It sure does.
But I end up like on my Earnify, I have 100 of those. I think it would be great if you could make them public or unpublic or unlisted. And so like if it's your community, you give them a link. But if it's public, maybe it ought to be vetted so that there's an actual prize and it's not just somebody screwing around, because that ends up spamming the system. And but I think overall, POAP.fun doesn't seem to be one of the current core missions of POAP. And that's okay. There are things like the POAP chat that it just isn't the current core mission. But it is a neat idea and something I think that would be fun to develop.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention I see tons of claim raffle tickets in here, and actually, if you haven't checked in a while, there's one that says Earnify Premium 2022 like POAP. I haven't claimed this, so I'm going to do that.
Earnify will soon support Git POAPs too.
Ooh.
Hey, that's cool. Oh, by the way, I've been pushing a little bit to get Grid Plus to be on board with Git POAP, mostly because I will actually earn that Git POAP because I have contributed to that repo in a few different ways.
Does Grid Plus has open source repos, right?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, we should. We should talk
Some
about
of them are private, but a lot of it is open to anyone.
Cool. Yeah, we would love to support that.
But all right, everyone. So from my understanding, there's two different places that you can create a raffle. So the first one is the one that we've been talking about. It's POAP.fun. And then when I was looking through the directory, I only found one more, and it's one that I've talked about before here on the community call, but it is randompoaps.com. It's a site where you just type in the name of whatever POAPs you want to be in the raffle. And then I think anybody that owns that POAP is qualified, so you can kind of do it on the fly a little bit. I haven't really used this too much, so I'm not able to speak from too much experience other than just like a little test raffle that I did for nothing. But I think it really is interesting that these tools are available and people really don't use them. It's kind of one of those things that we do. It really is sort of on the fly or like, oh, hey, there's this raffle happening. Make sure to keep your eye on it to know if you won anything. That's kind of the attitude that I've seen around these lately. But I know from my understanding for ECC, there was a raffle going on if you went to the different booths that were under the sort of POAP sponsorship, I guess you could say. So I know that there was one for the Poep booth, there was one for Ledger, if I'm not mistaken, and there were two more, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. And you were able to get things like in Apple iPad and stuff, so that was really neat. But, alright, I think it's time that we move on. So we do have a contest that is happening on the discourse. And so some of y'all understand that the last 2 weeks that we have been taking donations for the POAPs through Guild, well, we are going to be using some of that to actually give back to the community. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this on the discourse, and I believe, Anthony, you might want to be able to talk about it a little bit more than me, so I'm going to go ahead. I'll just let you talk about it, brother.
Yeah, sure. Can you guys hear me? Sometimes my
Yes,
AirPods
we are able to hear you just fine.
Awesome. Yeah, so just been super excited about the community who have been engaging with us on Discourse. Kind of weekly, we try to do these campaigns and, just different ideas that we think are important for the POAP community or the POAP vision at large. And so Last week seeing whether it was like model issuers or, well, the last few weeks, right? Whether it was like model issuers and people kind of flexing their POAPs and their responsibly done POAP drops, or with POAP ethics, where we talked about, how should we even think about this protocol to protect it, etc. Talking about kind of the wake up call, should people be paying for POAPs, and is that something we see as fair or good? And now this week is kind of like taking a slightly different turn. I just wanted to, mention that, POAP has been here for a little more than about 4 years now, and this protocol has been really, really amazing at preserving historical moments, and not only ones that we have on here during the community call, but things that are even outside of the Ethereum ecosystem. And so, whether it's a moment that you've taken part of, that you've seen preserved on the protocol, or just something in life that happened that you hope was preserved in the protocol, I would love for people to head to Discourse and maybe pick their favorite 3 events. For me, I think there's pretty important ones like DevCon number 1 is really important. I thought Constitution DAO was really important for the Ethereum ecosystem, and maybe even the Serenity ETH 2.0 launch. And so everyone I probably can come up with their 3 favorite moments, and hopefully they've been preserved on the blockchain. And if anyone's interested in writing a small article on that, we're going to be kind of giving back to the community as well on what we find maybe the top 3 quality submissions, and maybe we'll even have those people on this show or another show to discuss these historical moments. And those funds are being brought to you by the POAP Community Call Treasury as well. So you guys, the faithful listener community members, have donated to get your POAPs, and in my opinion, it would be wonderful to see some of those funds go back to you guys in the same manner, and just like this positive reflexive loop. And so, yeah, you find it on Discourse. It's also obnoxiously tagged in the events section in the top left corner. But yeah, I look forward to seeing some cool contributions there.
Awesome. So how can people participate exactly? I see it here on the Discourse, but do you want to give a quick, this is exactly how you participate? So you have your 3 POAPs. Sure. Now exactly what should they do?
Yeah, first I wanted to see Amanda. It sounded like you were going to chime in there.
I can chime in after you tell people how to participate. I was going to say I'm excited for the discourse that we can have after the fact, the debate on what is actually historical, canonical, and whatnot. So mine's the fun part.
Agreed, totally. And then I think it would be really cool is we can probably do like a cool infographic or a cool creative that even could show a timeline of sorts of POAP history. I would love to see something like that get made. So maybe we'll take these findings and make a cool visual representation even. So anyone can participate by heading to, if you can hear this, you're probably in Discourse right now. In Discord, you can go to the event section in our Discord channel, and you can click the historical moments button under the events. It's a contest, and it will link you to Discourse. If you're listening to this on YouTube after the fact, you can just head to discourse.poap.xyz and find your way into the community section. And probably one of the top few topics there, you'll see a contest, and it's called Contest Historical Moments. And write something up, maybe on a Google Doc or on a Mirror XYZ, which is kind of like a open platform way to post your articles or post your thoughts, and you just upload it to the Google form, and then maybe even leave a comment on the Discourse being like, hey, I submitted an article and I like these 3 POAPs. No real hard and fast rules, but it is kind of written out there on what probably would make sense. And we look forward to seeing all the results, and we'll go over those, I think, on the community call next week.
Yep, we will be taking a look at them on community call number 32. So that's going to be next week. In the top 3 submissions, they're each going to win $150 from our, or 150, excuse me. It's 150 in total. They're each going to win $50 in either their choice of Matic or ETH, since those are the 2 currencies that we have been taking for our community call POAP. But I hope that this is a great way for us to be able to give back to our community and just help create some discussion about POAPs that are in our ecosystem right now. And so, I do have a few examples of. I have three that I thought would maybe be like good examples of like historical POAPs to me. And Amanda, she also had chosen three POAPs that she believes are historical to her as our POAP spotlight. Maybe we can go ahead and go over that, and then we can just sort of chime in here and there. Oh, I think this is a historical POAP. So I'm going to go ahead. Give me one moment. Amanda, I actually want you to sort of go over the ones that you have chosen. Give me just a second to pull up my OBS here to make that possible. All right, you can go ahead and start whenever you're ready. Just start with number one, and you can go to two and then three. And I'll
I
post any links.
apologize. I have completely forgot what number one was.
If
But I can talk about all
if
three together
sure,
as a package.
sure.
So
I can
but
post them. Give me just a second. I'll post them in the community calls chat, and then you can, whenever I post it, you can just say whatever you want about it. Starting with the first one.
you're a great host, Mr. Mojo. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. So this one is East Boston. And I just thought this was really cool because while people were meeting in Boston, I was living like an hour away at the time. And it's really cool to me that there are POAPs in my hometown back in 2019.
All right.
So maybe not historically the most important to the community, but historically important to me.
Yeah,
Sometimes that's all that
and I
matters.
think that's what is so special about POAP, right? Is like there are certain things that are historical, maybe from a macro perspective, like globally. Then there's certain things that are historic from maybe like a community, a crypto community perspective, like Ethereum or Web3. But what is equally as important, or more important sometimes, is like personal memories. And so that's awesome. I love that you had a personal choice there.
Yep. All right. Now with the second one.
East Denver, very important. I tend to believe that historically the ones that come after East Denver would be, really because they're more public. Where POAP was, I just sent you the article too, where they presented at East Denver. They so silly. I don't remember. They presented at East Denver. They thank you. I appreciate you. Read this article like 4 times. Launched. That was the word that I was thinking of. They launched. I apologize. They launched in December around this time, and I believe this is one that connects with that. And so I think that's really cool because in that article you see a picture of Patricio and the other devs that were part of it. And I think that's super awesome. I'm a huge nerd for POAP, so this was one of those.
Yeah, kind of interesting how they did it too. It was connected to just like an intranet of sorts, so anything outside of that, you weren't able to claim it. It's kind of like the hacky way that they were doing it, or at least that's how the Medium article puts it.
Yeah, that they like just did on a closed loop, and it's so cool to think about that.
Yep. All right, and then the final one that you had shown me.
ETHCC, I thought this one was special because I know we just had ETHCC. I was not able to attend this year, but maybe another year. So that I know that's happening recently. So in the future, I'll look at the ETH LATAM as the historical POAPs of our time. So
Yes. All right, and then I have three examples as well, and I think a lot of the stakers in here will be able to easily talk about this one, like a Superphiz or Nixorokish or, Anthony. But I had chosen one that I think is historically relevant as the Beacon Chain Genesis Depositor. Probably other people can describe this better, so maybe Superphiz, do you want to talk about this one for me?
Is that hold on, I'm gonna see which one you pasted before I talk about it. Okay, so because there is a similar one that is, oh, that's a Genesis depositor. There is an ICO depositor. But yeah, so this went to the 804 people who claimed it, but also deposited into the Beacon chain before December 1st, and deposited and were activated before December 21st, 2020, which is 2 years ago when the Beacon chain first started. So um, there aren't many of those people who you know are, I guess I want to say, among us, but they are still active in the community. So it's a pretty impressive co-op to hold.
I would agree. All right, so another one that I chose, I was looking at the discourse post, and there were quite a few people who actually said that call number 1 for us they consider historical, which I think is actually great. This is back when we were called the POAP Curation Community Call, because we had originally thought, oh, this is going to be a call to help people really make sure that they understand how to use POAPs and how distribution should work and staying on top of the technology and everything like that. And of course, we still do that, but we've kind of now morphed into just the POAP community calls, just struck out the creation on that. And I'm actually very, very glad that people think that what we're doing here is historically relevant. It makes me feel like we have good purpose in this community, and glad that we are seen as, an important part of that. But okay, I have one more.
I'm gonna chime in here.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. Oh, are you in the middle of your 3?
Yes, but if you have anything,
Okay.
if you have anything to say about the first Curation community call number 1 POAP, you can go on ahead.
You know what? I do not. I was just in the community calls chat, and we're all posting our first POAP. So I interjected myself in the middle of your top 3. So let's have you do your 3, and then I'll mention mine because I have a cool story behind it.
Sure. So the last one that I want to showcase. So I had chosen this one because I thought it would just be like historical. I was looking through a whole bunch of POAPs of You Met Me POAPs, and I decided to pick Patricio's at NFT NYC from 2021 because that's like the earliest one that I could really find that was like POAP team related. And of course, since it's Patricio and he's the founder, he sort of gets the nod in that regard. So I went ahead and chose his, and he's done a POAP every single month. I really like the art design for his August one. It's like swapping between night and day. I think it's kind of cool. So those were the 3 that I had chosen. Maybe not necessarily the 3 that I'm going to choose for my write-up if I decide to participate in that way. But those are the 3 examples that I wanted to give today. But hey, it's open up to y'all if you want to talk about what POAPs you think are historical or POAPs that have meaning to you, so that we can end off the show that way.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll say, if people are chiming in here, feel free to head to the community-calls channel and post your the first POAP you ever had. Funny enough, mine was DAPCon 2019, and it was actually the event number 43, so the 43rd like POAP drop ever. Not the the 43rd event that say had a POAP, right? And this was in 2019. What's so funny is that this was the first time I ever had gotten a POAP. It was also the first time I had ever met Patricio. And so it was at the same time. Patricio gave it to me. And we had a discussion about like Sybil resistance and, how are these things going to work? And now reflecting on it, this was like the really early days of POAP and kind of like part of his vision, right? Helping people mint memories in a Sybil resistant way, hopefully, etc. And today he sent me this picture, which is Logic Beast just shared his picture. So we're going to go picture on picture combo. And this picture Patricio sent me today, and this is from 2019 when I got my first POAP. And it's just like a pretty memorable moment for me that he still had this photo, somehow was able to dig it out. And so, it's just like life is so funny, and it's like full circle because now I'm trying to help POAP grow as well. And so,
Would
God
you
bless.
say,
Happy New Year, guys.
How come Logic Beach and you and Patricio are together, but you're not with Patricio in the picture? What's going on there?
Yeah, so this is, I guess, when Patricio would take pictures of people when they got POAPs. I don't remember. He was like, here's your sticker. We had a great conversation. And then he was like, smile. And he took a picture of me. Maybe he was just, he's from the future and he knew that it would mean a lot to me if he dropped it on me 3 years later.
Would you say
Speaking
he
of the
cares
future-
about preserving memories?
Yeah, something memories.
Something like that. As you were saying, Logic Beach.
I was just going to say, speaking of the future, a very historic POAP that you guys will all want to get is going to be the mainnet merge POAP.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I think that the POAP provided for that is going to definitely be something that you're going to want in your wallet. But all right, everyone.
Please continue. I just centralized. I feel like I interrupted.
No, it's perfectly fine.
No, I was quite done.
Okay, well, I want to share just one because it was really exciting. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but the Rocket Pool mainnet launch was super cool. Everyone in that community had been waiting for that for years, so that was like a massive event, and it is. a huge event for Ethereum in general, and it was an awesome POAP to earn. That's it.
I know, now I feel like I gotta go through my pictures and upload me with Patricio. I have a few. But all right, so we are coming to the end of our time here. Logic Beach, do you want to go ahead and describe how we are able
This
to
is
get
the
the
end,
how
my
to get the
friends.
POAP from this call today?
Yes, so actually one of you will probably have to post the embed because I don't know why something with like a browser cookie is
It's
causing
there.
problems. Oh, you
It's
guys have
live.
it there? Okay, good. So if you haven't joined the guild already, go join the POAP guild, and I think you can do that just by going into the join guild channel and clicking claim POAP. It'll bring you to a page, actually it'll reply to you with a link, which you'll click on, and after you do that, it will bring you to another page, which I should have mentioned first, where you will submit a transaction for, and it's funny, I don't know what this UI is going to look like yet because I haven't seen how they updated it, so I can't actually describe it. It's loading. Long story short, there's going to be a link to send a transaction for 1 Matic or $1 worth of ETH on mainnet. So 1 Matic on Polygon or $1 worth of ETH on mainnet contributed will get you the link for this POAP.
Amazing, yes. So be sure to join the guild. Again, those links are in the join guild, and then once you've done that, you should be able to click on the claim POAP button. That's also in the join guild chat. You send in your transaction, and you get your POAP. But all right,
I just remembered
everyone. Yep, yes, sir.
the join. Yeah, the join guild link is actually at the very top of join guild. You have to scroll up. I didn't even see it when I got in.
Yes. Be sure to do that, everyone. But thanks so much for coming by, everyone. I know that it was a day delayed, but everyone still decided to show up. So glad to have you here. Thank you, everybody, for coming on stage as well and talking about what's going on in the POAP community. Until next week, everyone. And again, that's going to be at the normal time, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. See you then, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye bye,
See you
everyone.
guys.
Thanks for hosting, Mr. Mojo. Good to be with you all.